asking for a tutorial from me on how I animate on CapCut, so here we are. First, go into whatever drawing software you use and make assets for whatever you're animating. You should separate them into the head, front hair, back hair, shoulders, upper arms, forearms, torso, and lower body. I suggest you do the hands separately as well, and you also have many poses of hands to choose from. Make sure that parts don't perfectly align because then they could end up looking like they're falling off when you actually animate them. For now, we're going to ignore the face because I usually do that separately. Now import all of these into CapCut as overlays with a green background. Using this keyframe button and the basic tool, we can move objects around into a new position. We can also use graphs, which you can see so long as you're between two keyframes, so you can get a certain repeated movement. One main suggestion of mine that I have for animations to make them look a little more alive is to include little bounces. And by this I mean make a keyframe for the pose that you want to be consistent, and a few milliseconds before you're going to make the same pose but a good degree over what you intended, so that way it bounces back slightly and it makes it look more like an actual movement. Once you get that first animation done for your first overlay, just make sure that all of the animations sync up with the rest of your objects by either duplicating and replacing that first object or just manually syncing them up. I suggest that for the back hair, you make it animated slightly off of the rest of the animation because that makes it look more flowy and real. For this also, those little bounces that I mentioned earlier are your best friend. Those are most important with the hair. Now with that done, we can start on the face. I usually make the eyelids, sclera, irises, and closed eyes as all separate assets, and sometimes make different versions of like the irises. Then I'm going to import all of these as overlays into a separate file with a green screen and make them sync up with the audio in terms of expression. Once all of the eyes are synced with the audio, make sure that you make closed eyelids sections for about 0.3 seconds every 3 seconds or every time the eyes switch. And you can animate this by making short little 0.1 second keyframes at the end and beginning of each eyelid that just go up and down. Make sure to import those eyebrows and irises as well and make sure those are animated as well. Once that's done, open one last file with a green screen and we are going to animate the mouths. Typically, you don't really do much animations, just create the assets of all the separate mouths and make sure they sync to the audio. Once you're done with this, export both your mouth and eye animations, put them into the first file that you made and make sure that they sync up with the face. Hope this helps.